Biblometric analysis. How are you doing today, everyone? Has any one of you applied what we have done last week? Okay, all right. So today I will focus on three main things. First, the Prisma framework, and then voice viewer software, and then writing the main sections of the paper, right? So I'll try to cover everything today because next week I'll not be around. So I'll try to finish up everything in this session, all right? Now let me share my screen. Can you guys see the screen? Okay. Now, last week, what we've done is that we inserted all the filters that we want to include and exclude for our article, all right? And then we save that in the query that Scopus give you. Now, this is very, very important because it's the methodology of this paper. Without this information, you will not be able to write the methodology, okay? Now, this is an example of the paper, all right? We have done the questions, and then today we will focus more about the research design or the research methodology. Now, in the research methodology, it's going to be very specific based on Prisma framework. Now, Prisma framework, it's like a standard framework that we use for review paper, not only bibliometric, any kind of review. Bibliometric, SLR, scope review, meta-analysis. How we can get a Prisma framework, you simply go to Google and then Prisma template. All right, you can download it from this website or any website. There are many websites that provide Prisma framework. So if I click here, it will be downloaded into my device. Just open and edit whatever information that I need to edit. Okay. Now, if you notice here, Prisma has, let's say, three main sections. Most of the time will be extended to four or even five. But we need to focus on three main categories, which is identification, screening, and inclusion and exclusion. Eligibility could be part of screening. All right. So in the first section, what we need to write is everything that we got from Scopus database. For example, let's go back to Scopus here. Now, remember we wrote the initial documents and then the final documents. The initial, I said, it's the number you get without the application of any filter. Okay, so only with the titles here, only with the title or the main keywords of your search. This is the initial number that you get. Right now, when you start applying the filter for the years, so subject area, exact keywords, language, and so on and so forth, this is the final number that you get. Okay, so in my case, let me clear. In my case, the initial number was 9,982. So I'll go back to write. Records identified through the database is 9,900. Okay, so this is the if I use more than database, for example, I use Scopus and Web of Science. Here, I need to be more specific about the database. For example, here Scopus, and then here Web of Science, and then equal whatever number that I have. But in this class, in this session, we only use Scopus database. So I'm gonna go with only Scopus. Okay. Do we have any additional record? No, because we only have one database. So there is no need for this. Records after duplicates removed, which means not duplicate because I have only one database. So I'm gonna edit that to record after inclusion and exclusion. What is the record after inclusion and exclusion? Which 1,224. 1,224. Okay. Now this is for this screening only. Record removed. It's going to be, let me see the exact number, 9982 minus 1,224, which is 88758. This is the number we removed from the data. Okay. Now, in our case, because we use biblometric analysis, we don't download articles, which means that I'm not going to be using full article text. Okay. So this, if I am writing an SLR, systematic literature review, the case will be different because let's say this is the final number that I get, and then I'll start to download these papers. When I download, I will not be able to download everything. So mostly more than half of this article will be removed or excluded. Yes, you can write by yourself, or you want to use the template, read a template, you can do that as well. The important thing that you follow the instruction and the categories of the Prisma framework. Now let me go back again. Now in our case, the bibliometric analysis, this is the final number. It means the final number. Okay, so there's no more exclusion of this number. But in SLR, if we are writing an SLR, systematic literature review, this will not be the final number. Okay, because we need to download. Once you download, you will lose a lot of articles. Some of them will not be accessible, some of them will not be available online, and so on. So in our case, we don't need this as well. So the study included in this will be 122. 4, and then also here included in all right. Now this is how you fill Prisma framework, only if you are writing a bibliometric analysis. Now let's translate this figure into the methodology part. Okay. This is very important, and it needs to be very accurate because it will reflect the quality of the paper. Okay. For the research design, first of all, you need to mention that you used Prisma as the research design. This is a must. So you need to highlight that you have used Prisma as the main framework for your study, and then you need to cite one of their work, right? And then obviously you're gonna extend by uh, stating the aim or the objective of the study, all right? And if you have any similar work that used Prisma before, you need to cite that as well, okay? And then you are going to say that in addition to Prisma framework, you have used a software. This software is called Voice Viewer, and this software has been used to answer some questions, which is the main bibliometric idea. Now, how to use Voice Viewer, I will get into it in a few minutes. Let me finish Prisma framework first. Okay. And then you are going to start with the main sections of Prisma framework, starting with selection, which is identification. If you go back here, number one is identification. You see this, the first stage, right? So you're gonna translate that, translate the figure into words. First thing that you need to do is you need to state the date, the exact date that you have started the search. All right? The exact date that you have started the search. And then for search strings, you need to translate the query, which is from Scopus. You see this? You need to translate this query into words. All right? Starting with, for example, here, the main keywords that you use, right? So this is from Scopus, and then I will explain what does it mean. So I used e-learning, for example, and student performance. Okay, and then I included the articles from 2012 to 2022. Okay, and then I will add a table for inclusion and exclusion criteria. This is a summary of the filters that you have added in your search. Okay? This is a summary, which means that what have you included and what have you excluded from the search? Everything that, so if I read this table, I understand all the query meaning, the Scopus query, I will understand it from A to Z. For example, the starting from the keywords e-learning and student performance only for these two keywords, and I included all research from 2012 2022 only in English language. On the other hand, any other languages is excluded. If you use English and French, then you say that English and French, and then other languages were excluded. I used only journal articles, and then any other types of research were excluded. For example, conference, books, book chapters, anything else were excluded. Okay, and then following by screening and selection, which means from the initial number of the search to the final number of the search and how many were excluded through the way. Right? Now, this is the Prisma. In my case, I have stated all the details, right? So the initial search was 8,000 and the final search was around 1,420. and the removed articles were around 6,640. So what I have included only around 1,420. And this table I added as the inclusion criteria. So this one is the inclusion criteria that led me to this result. Okay. And obviously, this is the final included results. Clear, guys? The Prisma framework. Any questions? Okay. Now for the results, what we have done last week, we have come out with the figures and tables and stuff like that. And one of the questions, it will be answered using voice viewer, which is this figure. Now let's go to Google and Google Voice Viewer software. It's a free software, so you just need to download and then open it. Okay, because I already have it into my device, so I'm just gonna open it. Just a second. Okay, because I'm using Mac, so I need to look to the exact folder and then just open the file. Okay. Now, when you are done with Scopus, don't forget to always save your search, because I have saved my search and now I am using it again. Right? Now, for voice viewer, what I need to do is that first I need to export. Okay? CSV, which is all the results. Export CSV, and then this will come to you, the window. This window will pop up. Exports 1024 documents. You need to make sure that this file is for the whole documents included, not for the countries, not for the years. It's for the main search. Okay? What you need to include is the citation, bibliographical information, abstract keywords, the other information I don't need it, and then we export. Now it usually takes some time because it's a huge document. When I'm done downloading, I'll go back to my voice viewer. This is the interface of voice viewer software, which has create and open. All right. So we'll go with create. And this window will pop up. There's different versions of the software. Always make sure to go with this choice. Create a map based on bibliographic data. All right. Which means choose this option to create a co-authorship, co-occurrence, keyword citation, and so on. And then next. When you go next, make sure this option has Scopus in it, because we are using Scopus, all right? Web of Science, Scopus, dimensions, and so on. And then next. And then from the selection option, you need to go with Scopus. If you use Scopus Web of Science, then you go with Web of Science. This is Scopus, and then browse, and then go to download, the one that we just downloaded right now, and then finish. Sorry, we don't hit finish, we hit next, but I'm gonna do it again. So create a map, next, and then Scopus, next. We select the file, next, and then we select whatever relationship or whatever mapping that we want to create. For example, if we are looking for keywords relationship, then we select co-occurrence and all keywords and then next, next, next. Now this table is very, very, very important. Before you move on to the final product, which is the mapping image, this table will help you write the explanation of this photo. Let me go back here. When I look at this photo and then I want to explain it, how do I do that? By using this table. Okay. So I usually take screenshot from it and then I will explain it again. I will go back to it again when I'm writing the discussion. All right. One more thing. If you feel that some of these keywords are not related to your work, just exclude it. For example, I'm going to exclude student, teaching, education, human language, curricula, engineering education, humans, motivation, learning. All these are not related to my study because I'm looking for online learning and student performance. So I'll go make sure everything is related and then I hit finish. Now this is what I get as a final results for co-occurrence keywords. Okay, I can change the look of the map, circle, frames. I can change the size of it. Okay, I can even use a black background, whatever you'd like or whatever you prefer. Right, and now go simply insert it into your paper and then start writing the, you see here, for example, this is about the keywords as well. So I started to for example, here, the term e-learning was the most frequent keyword appearing 1,393. Now this information I got from the table before I create the figure, which is very important. All right. So it's very important for you to create the table before you create the final results. Okay. Okay, guys, everything clear? Do we have any questions? All right. Now, for the results, what you need to write, for example, here, the results. First, you are going to start with an introduction for this paper and the main objective for this paper. And to achieve this objective, I am going to go through the objective one by one, which is first one was by years, distribution by years. Okay. I'm going to give a small introduction after the main research questions. All right. Small introduction. I'm going to insert the figure and then explain this figure. Now, the explanation about this figure or any figures in research or any table, it's totally up to you. There's no standard way to do it. Okay. What I personally do is I go with the two minimum results, for example, 2012 or 2013. All right. And then the top two or top three answers. And then later on, for when you start your discussion, you will claim or you will start to argue why this is happening. But in results, we only talk about facts. All right. It's not time to justify or, put your own opinions in here. Just explain the figure or the table. And then later on in this, for example, in this area from 2012 until 2019, it was almost the same. It was slightly, you know, rising. But from 2019 to 2022, it is almost the double amount of the articles. Why? Because of COVID-19 and everybody converted into online learning. So this information, I'm not going to state it now in the results. I'm going to state it later in the discussion part. Okay, so how this is how we write the results, and this goes for everything, even for tables. Right now, in this table, because it's kind of huge and it has many information in it, it's up to you to select any criteria and then differentiate the authors or differentiate the journals based on this criteria. For example, we have total publication, we have total citation, and then we have total also sorry, site score, most cited article, blah blah blah. Okay, so pick one of these, pick one of these, and then differentiate based on it. Because you will notice that, for example, here, site score is 5, and then the following one, site score is almost 17.8, which is more. Okay, so it's not arranged based on the site score. So what you need to do, go the same approach that we have applied in the figure. Differentiate between the top two results and the lowest two results based on site score, based on total citation, based on total publication, and most cited article, for example. All right. Now this is for the results. This goes for all the results sections. Now, who knows the difference between the results and discussion? When we want to start writing the discussion, anyone? Anyone would like to share? This is not only about the bibliometric analysis paper. It's in general, even when you write your own thesis. Total, okay, can I use VoiceOver for analysis or can I use Excel? We use VoiceViewer for mapping only, not as an analysis tool. For Sue, I want to ask, total publication refers to the total number of papers limited? Yes, it's limited to this topic, not the total number of paper published. Okay, discussion part is more critical. Obviously, it's more critical, but I'm looking for a specific answer. What is the different? Discussion tell the similar or different results from other studies and explain the possible reasons. Yeah, Nicole, thank you very much. Discussion is all about comparison. We compare this result or this study results with other previous studies. And then we claim why, justification. We justify. Okay. For example, in the case that I was talking about in just a minute about COVID-19 and how the article number just doubled between 2019 and 2023 because of COVID-19, and every education institutions is going using online learning and stuff. Okay, while the results, we just write the facts, whatever numbers that we have, whatever data that we have, we just state it there without any justification. In the discussion, we start to compare the current results of the study with previous study. That's why literature review is very important. Even if in your thesis, when you write your thesis, you need to have a very updated, very comprehensive chapter 2. If you don't have that, you will find it very difficult later on to write the discussion chapter, which is the final chapter. All right. So here, discussion also is divided based on the questions, and then why this happened, justification about everything. And what I've done as a final step here in my paper, I summarized everything in one table, which is table 5. So I summarized based on findings, implication, trends, and future agenda. All right. And this goes to publication, journals, countries, education institutions, everything that was included in this research. So basically, this one is the main questions. Question number 1 was about a publication. Question number 2 about journal, countries, and so on. Finally, we write the conclusion. Conclusion is the summary of the summary for the discussion. And then what this paper has contributed, the main contribution that this paper provided. Okay, now let's go back a little bit about the introduction. Now, we have covered the methodology and results and discussion. Let's go back to the introduction now. Now, what I'm going to talk about on how to write the introduction part is not only important in this article, but it's important for you in your final thesis as well. Okay. Now we have an approach which is called reverse triangle. Reverse triangle is an approach that we use to write the introduction of our research. Why it's reversed? Because we start with a wide perspective about our topic. Okay, we talk about the topic from globally, wide perspective in general. And then the second paragraph, we be more specific. So we include the main variables of the study. Variable 1, variable 2, variable 3. For example, if your study is happening in Malaysia, so you'll be more specific about studies that talk about this topic in Malaysia, for example, or in China. Okay. And then finally, which is the top of the triangle, it's about the main contribution of this study. How? By standing on the research gap that's happening here. Okay, so based on this information from first paragraph and second paragraph, the research gap that's happening in this area will help you to come out with the main contribution. Okay, and then finally, you end with the main questions about this article or the thesis as well. Thesis, okay? So you see, the final paragraph is about the main objective, and then it will introduce the questions. All right, guys? Everything clear? Do we have any questions? Any questions? Okay, now we come to the abstract. The abstract, always remember, it's the final stage of your study. Do not write the abstract as the first, because it's a mistake. All right. It's all based on the results discussion of the study. So the abstract, why it's called abstract? Because it need to be very comprehensive and concise as well. If I read the abstract of the paper, I will understand it from A to Z. The background, the problem statement of this, or the gap, the research gap, what methodology has been used, the main results, the contribution and recommendation of future work. This is all need to be stated in the abstract. Many of the students will write the abstract as a duplicate of the literature review. You will see a lot, like 10 lines about the background. This is not true. So background is only 1 or 2 lines as maximum. And then, sometimes you just go directly with the main objective. Okay. And then the methodology, when I read the methods here, very summarized, but it includes everything. So this is a bibliometric analysis. That's number one. And it used Prisma framework. That's number two. Okay. And it used these two main keywords. Okay. That's number three. Scopus was used. That's number four. Okay. And then the initial search was this number. The final search was this number. You see, it's only 3 lines, but everything in the methods part was included. All right. And in the results part as well, let's say we have 4 questions or 5 questions. For each question, I need to state the main results that is happening. Okay. So the results need to include all the research questions, but only a summary of it. And then finally, the recommendation, or in review paper, they call it future agenda. What you recommend for further research in this topic. Now, this is the most important part because this is what will get your paper cited from other researchers. If you recommend for something, strong, or something that is worthy of research, your paper will be cited a lot. Okay. Now, guys, do we have any other questions? Do you want me to repeat anything? Are you able to write your own bibliometric analysis now? If you have a question and you don't want to talk, you can type it in the chat. Any questions? Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much, guys. And I'm always here for help. If you need anything, you can WhatsApp me anytime. Okay, we have a question here. What is about the question about the map of countries? How can we get this picture? Is from Word as well. But instead of inserting a figure or a circle, where is it? You choose map here. And then when you click and select the map, you insert the information from Google. So edit data in Excel. You see, this is the map. And then I right click, edit the data, and then I copy paste exactly like what I did for any other figures. You see here, this is the number that I can, or I pasted from Scopus, right? So once again, instead of using line or column, we just use maps and then edit. Welcome. Any other questions? Okay, guys. How can we contact you if we have? Are you in UTM? Yes, this is my WhatsApp number. All right, guys. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you. Bye bye.